What's going on, sports bettors? Matt Modi here with OddsJam, here to give you some early bets to lock in for the Week 18 betting slate. Obviously, the last week of the NFL regular season. This week means a lot more for some teams compared to others. Like we have the Titans Jaguars, where the winner wins their division, the AFC South. We have the Lions versus Packers, where the winner could go to the playoffs. The loser would be out, depending what happens in some of the games earlier. If the Packers win, they're in. The Lions, they can win, need some help, and then they're in as well. And then there were teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs fighting for the one seed, where if they win, they clinch the one seed. So important to keep in mind these types of things as you are going about the week. Obviously, when you're looking at the odds and everything, the lines, sportsbooks take that stuff into account. It's just something important to monitor to make sure that if you're betting on a team, make sure that there's no chance that they're resting players and stuff like that. So without further ado, we can get into it. Of course, using OddsJam, using the positive expected value page to lock in these NFL bets. In the first play, as you can see on the screen here, there are a lot of plays specifically in the Raiders versus Chiefs game backing the Raiders spread. Now this might seem counterintuitive because, like I mentioned, the Raiders are out of it. The Chiefs need to win and they get the one seed. But the Raiders played the 49ers hard recently, took them to overtime. The Chiefs have kind of been a little bit waffling recently. They only beat the Broncos by, I think, 3 points. They needed overtime to beat the Texans 2 weeks ago. So the Chiefs aren't exactly playing their best football while the Raiders are still playing hard with their new quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. So I think this makes sense from a Vegas perspective of backing the Raiders because everybody's going to be wanting to hammer the Chiefs. So in a situation like this, where there are 4 different spreads for the same game that are positive EV, there are a couple different strategies. Strategy number 1, take all 4. If they're all positive EV, take all of them. And if the Raiders basically lose by 5 or fewer, or if they win, then you win all 4 bets and you're sitting pretty. Of course, there's also the chance that they lose by 10 and you lose all these bets. But the logic being, if they're all positive EV, more often than not, over the course of time, the team that you're betting on will cover enough to make this a profitable venture, like I said, over the course of time. So yeah, you might have a bad day if they don't cover, but giving yourself the long run of this will be profitable. That's one strategy. Another strategy is just take the one with the highest EV percent. It's the most profitable in terms of just strictly numbers. So you could just do that, which in this case would be Raiders +8 at +105. No strategy is better than the other. It depends on your individual risk tolerance. If you want to be a little bit risky, then take all of them. If you want to be a little more risk averse, then don't. For this video, I'm just going to go ahead and lock in the Raiders +8 at +105, just the top one in terms of profitability. So the play, again, Raiders +8, +105 at bet 365. It's bolded. It's got the blue outline telling you that this is the bet. So the math behind it, the no vig odds price this at about basically +102, a little bit above +102. And these are important because these odds are pulled from the sharpest sportsbooks in the world. So if you're scanning the odds for this play, right, we see odds range from +105 down to -111. Of course, there's a difference among the odds. Both of these sportsbooks can't be correct if there's that big of a gap, right? One of them has to be incorrect. And what we learn is that not all sportsbooks are created equal in terms of pricing odds. Some are better than others. So these no vig odds only pull in odds from the sharp sportsbooks that have been tested over the course of time. So OddsJam back tested thousands and thousands of betting opportunities to determine who are the sharp ones, and then pull those odds using a weighted average, giving heavier weight towards the sharper books, obviously, and then pull that all into the no vig odds that you see in this column here. I like to call it the OddsJam perfect line. It can generally be viewed as the true line of what a sportsbook should truly be priced at. So, which in this case is at +102. So anywhere in which you can get better odds than what the perfect line is giving odds for the play at will be profitable. Basically, the sharp sportsbooks are saying this should be at +102. Bet365 is having it at +105. There's profitability. And then what you want to do, as I have up on the screen here, if you just click wherever it's highlighted blue, like if you hover over a play, you see it's kind of shaded blue. If you just click into a play, pulls up where other sportsbooks are pricing odds for this play, and you want to compare the betting markets, right? Like I mentioned, you see different odds across the sportsbooks. So you want to compare, where do other sportsbooks price it compared to the bet that I'm placing? And you want to answer the question, is the bet that I'm placing an outlier or not? In this case, the answer is yes. Bet365 has it at plus 105. No other book has it for plus money. Every other book has it for minus money. Minus 106, minus 105, minus 106, minus 109. And then Pinnacle, and this is important because Pinnacle is the sharpest sports book in the world given the heaviest weight. Pinnacle actually favors the Raiders at plus 8. They have the Raiders side of it priced at minus 108, the other side of it priced at minus 105. They're making the Raiders more expensive to buy, which is them telling you that they think it's the more likely scenario. The more likely a sportsbook thinks a scenario is, the more they're going to charge it, right? It's going to be more expensive to buy. So Pinnacle's telling you, hey, we think that we favor the Raiders covering plus 8, so we're going to make it more expensive. And we're getting it for plus money at plus 105. Plus money meaning you don't need to win 50% of the time in order to be profitable. You can win less. So this is play number 1, Raiders versus Chiefs, Raiders plus 8. This is, again, to keep in note, this is the Saturday game. I think there's 2 games going on Saturday. So that's all the Raiders won. The next up game we're going to look at is in the Lions versus Packers. And we're going to take the over 48.5 at minus 110 odds at BetMGM. Really, really good price here. OddsJam calculates the no vig line of this to be a little bit above minus 111. BetMGM is giving it to us at minus 110, And then look at the rest of the sports books. So minus 110 at BetMGM. The closest book is Tipico at minus 118. Every other book has it at a minimum in the minus 120s, all the way up to minus 138. And for a main line like this, even the smaller edges can be really valuable because these main lines, money line, total, spread, it gets so much action that the lines are generally tighter, which means that the discrepancies you can find within a main line is really valuable. And then what you want to do for like a total and a spread, like if you're betting a main line, that's not a money line, where basically they're going to be different numbers. You want to open the event page in a new tab. So the way, so the screen, what we currently see on the screen here is where sportsbooks are pricing over under 48.5. But not every sportsbook is going to have the main line of this total at 48.5, right? They're going to have it at a different number. And since we're taking the over, we want to make sure that they're pricing it over 48.5. They have it at 49, 50, whatever. And that's what opening this in the event page in a new tab does. It pulls up where every other sportsbook is pricing the main line for this play. So we got it at over 48.5. Literally every other book, no other book has the main line at 48.5. Either have it at 49 or 49.5. And then you want to look at the sharp sportsbooks. Pinnacle has the main line of this at 49.5. Bookmaker has another sharp book, I should say. I'm not just randomly picking that. Bookmaker is another very sharp sports book. Has the main line at 49.5. And then BetOnline is the third sharp sports book you want to look at. Again, main line at 49.5, a full point higher than what we got it at BetMGM. And then we have some other sports books that have it, the not as sharp ones, but still good to see, have it at 49 or 49.5. But literally no other book has their main line of this at 48.5, which is telling you that this is a really, really good over to take at BetMGM. Beating the closing line by a point or half a point might not seem like a big deal, but as I mentioned, these lines are so tight that you'd be surprised. And how often, if you're just scrolling social media during a game, how often do we see, oh, Vegas does it again, the total ended at 48.5 and the total ended at 49, or like the over-under, whatever, ended at 48.5 and 49 points were scored, something like that. So over the course of time, another thing where in the long run, if you're consistently beating the closing line by even half a point, incredibly valuable in terms of profitability in the long run. So this is my second play, Lions versus Packers over 48.5. There's another play that I really liked here. This is in the Bucks versus Falcons, and we're taking an under 41. So this is at minus 110 odds at Caesars. Similar logic here. We got it at minus 110. The rest of the sports books, one of them's kind of close, Circa at minus 113. But then we see like minus 118, minus 119, minus 122, minus 125, Open this event page in a new tab, and we see that we got it under 41. Look at where the other sportsbooks price it. We see totals going all the way down to 39, 2 points lower. Granted, you want to look at the sharp ones, which is Pinnacle, which has it at 40,
And then Bookmaker and Bet Online, which has it at 40.5, so a half point lower. In a total as low as this, pretty valuable getting the half point difference, right? So here is my third play that I really like for this betting slate. Bucks versus Falcons under 41. Kind of a meaningless game for both teams. Bucks already have the division clinched. Falcons long out of the playoff hunt after a horrible ending to the year. But regardless, nice profitable play here. And then the last one that I'm going to lock in here, this one is going to feel gross, but sometimes the gross plays are the ones that are the best. Colts -2 at -109 odds. This is at PlayUp Sportsbook against the Texans. Like I said, sometimes bets that feel gross are the ones that hit the most. So -109, what we got at PlayUp. Novig odds price is pretty much exactly at -110, -109.99, pretty much exactly -110. Same thing here. Look at the other sports books, and it's a point spread. It's a main line. So again, even the smaller value, or smaller, the smaller gap does have value. Bet Rivers, Bet Rivers at -117, Pinnacle at -119. The rest of the sports books in the -120s. And then again, open this event page in the new tab. Let's see where other sports books are pricing this spread. We are taking the favorite at -2. So we want to make sure that the other spreads are at 2.5, 3, something like that. And as we can see, it looks like the main line of 2 doesn't even show up here. You have to scroll down to go to the alternate lines where you can see that Colts -2 is priced at -109, whereas every other sportsbook has it at 2.5 or 3. And these are obviously huge differences, especially the ones that have it at 3, because that's a field goal, right? The Colts win on a last second field goal. This -3 pushes the -2.5 and the -2 hit, right? These are some key numbers that you want to get above or below, depending on if you are backing the favorite or the underdog. So this is going to be my fourth pick and final pick for this video. Colts -2, -109 odds at PlayUp, and that's going to be it. So if you're tailing these 4 picks, comment, let me know. But that's it. So appreciate everybody watching, and have a good one.